So, working for yourself in Israel, it's an incredible adventure, right? But let's be real, there's one topic that can give anyone a massive headache: taxes. Well, in the next few minutes, we're going to break it all down, make it super simple, and get you totally set up for success.
So you did it. You landed some freelance work. Awesome. Maybe it's a little side hustle, maybe it's your full-time thing now. Either way, you are in exactly the right place.
Because before you even dream of sending out that first invoice, there is one single rule you absolutely, positively cannot ignore.
Look, it doesn't matter if you designed a logo for a friend for 500 shekels or you landed a huge 50,000 shekel project. If you got paid for your work, it has to be reported. I'm talking every single shekel. There's no such thing as a job that's too small or just once in a while. The law is the law.
Now, I'm not saying this to scare you, not at all. In fact, the cool part is you have choices. So don't think of this as a burden. Think of it as your first big strategic decision as a freelancer here in Israel.
Okay, so you basically have three main roads you can go down. First, there's the classic route, registering as a sole proprietor, what's known here as a atzmai. Second, there's a kind of hybrid model called Osek Zair. And third, a totally different way of thinking about it, becoming a legal employee through a special service. Let's dig in.
All right, if you go down that sole proprietor road, you'll have to pick one of these two. Over here on the left, we have Osek Patur. This is for anyone earning under 120,000 shekels a year. And the huge benefit? You don't have to deal with that. On the right, we've got Osek Marshe. This is for the higher earners or for certain professions like doctors or lawyers. And the big difference? You must add an 18% VAT to your invoices.
Now, that third path is a whole different ballgame. It's called an employer of record, or EOR. Basically, it's a company that legally hires you on behalf of your clients. They handle all the annoying stuff, the invoicing, deducting your taxes, paying Social Security, so you can just focus on doing great work and keep all your freelance freedom.
And what about that middle option, the hybrid model? You know, it's a bit of a niche choice. Think of it as an invoicing service that helps with some of the paperwork, but, and this is super important, you're still legally self-employed. And what does that mean? It means you miss out on all the big financial protections that employees get, like severance pay.
So that really brings us to the main event, doesn't it? A head-to-head comparison between the two main paths, being a self-employed atzmai versus being a legal employee through an EOR. Let's see how they really stack up when it comes to your money.
Okay, let's talk about the long game here, because this really matters. Take your pension. As a sole proprietor, you are on the hook for 100% of it. But as an employee, your employer has to contribute too, which is like getting free money for your retirement. It's a massive boost over time. And then there's severance pay, or pitch-uyim. This is a huge deal. It's a legally required safety net that builds up. As a freelancer, you get zero. As an EOR employee, it grows with every single paycheck. Oh, and you also get unemployment benefits. The real trade-off is this. With sole proprietorship, you have total control over filing, but with an EOR, you get total simplicity.
So here's the bottom line. Being a sole proprietor gives you way more control. You get to deduct all your business expenses, which can lower your taxable income. But being an EOR employee, well, that gives you a powerful built-in financial safety net for your future. Now, speaking of deductions, there's a number that every new freelancer earning under that VAT limit needs to burn into their brain: 30%. So what on earth is this magic number?
It is the amazing benefit of something called the Osek Zair tax status. This is for anyone earning under 120,000 shekels a year. It lets you automatically write off 30% of your income as expenses without needing a single receipt. For people with low overhead, like writers, designers, consultants, this is an absolute game changer. It's so simple.
Okay, we've laid out all the options. Now for the big question. How do you actually choose the right one for you? Let's build a little compass to help you find your way.
It really all comes down to your personal situation. If you're just side hustling for a few thousand shekels a month, the simplicity of an Osek Patur is probably a no-brainer. But if you're a full-time pro and you've got a family to support, suddenly that severance pay and extra pension money becomes hugely important. You also got to be honest with yourself. How's your Hebrew? How do you feel about dealing with bureaucracy? And finally, what's your big picture goal? Are you trying to build a huge brand, or do you just want to focus on your craft?
You know, here's a really great way to think about it. Going the sole proprietor route, that's like building and driving your own car. You're in total control, you pick the engine, the paint job, everything. But you're also the mechanic. You're responsible for all the maintenance and figuring out the map. Using an EOR is like having a chauffeur.
You still tell them exactly where you want to go, but they handle the driving, the gas, the insurance, all those complicated details. So ultimately, it really just boils down to this one simple question. What do you value more right now in your career? Is it total control, the kind that comes with running your own business file, or is it total simplicity and the security that comes from being an employee? All right, before we wrap this up, let's do a quick rapid-fire round to nail down some of the most common questions I get. Ready? Let's go.
First up, this one is so important, especially if you're an Osek Zair. Let's talk value-added tax, or VAT. What is the #1 most expensive mistake new freelancers make?
It's this, right here. You quote a client a price without adding the 18% VAT. If you tell a client your fee is 10,000 shekels, guess what? The tax authority sees that number as including the VAT. That means the VAT, nearly 2,000 shekels, comes directly out of your pocket, not the client's. So always quote your price plus VAT.
Next question. This one causes a ton of confusion. We've talked about Osek Patur and Osek Zair. They sound almost the same, so what's the actual difference?
Think of it this way. Osek Patur is a business status. It's what you register for with the VAT office, and it's what makes you exempt from charging VAT. Osek Zair is a tax status. It's a choice you make with the income tax folks, and it gives you that awesome 30% automatic deduction. And here's the cool part. You can absolutely be both at the same time.
So what's the big idea to walk away with today? It's that while following the rules is totally non-negotiable, the power is completely in your hands. You get to choose the exact legal and financial setup that fits your goals, your income, and your life.
And that leaves us with one final thing to think about. Now that you know the different paths you can take, the question you really need to ask yourself is about your ultimate goal. Are you here to build a business from the ground up? Or is your #1 priority to build a rock-solid financial safety net for yourself and your future? Your answer to that one question, that's what's going to point you in the right direction.